Good evening, everyone, and welcome along to WOR Crossplay Tier 1. We are here tonight for round number 2 of the championship as we take in, of course, the Lusail International Circuit for the Qatar Grand Prix. My name is James Head, and I'm delighted to be taking to the commentary for tonight. Mr. Gareth Davies-Warder has hopped off on holiday for the week, which means I'm going to be filling in, and unfortunately, unlike the man sitting to the right-hand side of me, he'd be absolutely gagging for holiday, considering how Leicester is now in the Championship. Joining me in the commentary box, it is Mr.
Oh,
Joseph
brilliant.
F1. Joseph, how you doing?
1 minute in, James, and I am disgusted with what you've just said. I cannot believe that. Good evening to you too, um, by the way. But hello, it is a pleasure to be here, although I do seem to be blank. Don't worry, I am in existence behind the blank face cam somewhere. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to tonight. Thank you, first of all, for stepping in, and let's hope we can have as clean as a race we did last week, where we didn't actually have any inquiries.
We didn't actually have any inquiries indeed. Yeah, I was very surprised actually to hear about that looking through my commentary notes. And of course, as a result of Belgium last week, let's take a run through not the results first and foremost. Let's have a look at the race results first and foremost. It is the Belgian Grand Prix course from round one, and it is Sav, I've got to say, very much looking like he's on the top of the world there on the left hand side of the graphic. Sav there out on top from Kai in second. Cindery there in third. Of course, it was a 1-2 as well for the Red Bulls, so it was very, very good, I've got to say, from that perspective. Cindery there in third, Axe in fourth, Placky in fifth, Arch there in sixth, making his return, I've got to say, to WOR, looking very, very good as he did that. Stefano in seventh, Brothers in eighth, Tyrell Martin, the AOR 14-time race winner, back there in ninth position, and then racer, of course, finishing in 10th, and what was, Joseph, very changeable conditions last week.
Yeah, it was. Obviously, qualifying was in the intermediate conditions. We got very close at the end of the session to soft tyres. A few drivers actually went out there and tested the waters, you could say, but it did stay on intermediate conditions. And in the end, that's what we stayed on with lap times in and around the 1 minute 47s at Spa, which for intermediates is very quick. And then obviously moving on to the race, we did have to restart, which meant scripting the weather as close as possible to its original prediction, which meant a dry start. We had an immediate safety car. The rain started coming down. Everybody swapped to the intermediates, but then crucially, the heavy rain left decisions to be made. The likes of Kai pit and went onto a set of wet tyres, gaining back the track position because at times it was 2 to 3 seconds quicker. But Sav, who he was up against, stayed out on the intermediates pit for another set when the conditions were good enough for intermediates again, and he ended up retaking the position on track. It was absolutely fantastic start to finish.
Yeah, definitely. So I was certainly catching up on the racing just before we came live as well. And Sav definitely delivered last week. Of course, a 5 second win from Kai in second, who really is a new kid on the block, I've got to say, for PSR as well. Well, what does that do to the championship standings? It's the same as what I've just shown in the race results. Sav on top, 25 points leading the way from Kai in second on 18, Cindery in third on 15, then Axe in fourth and 12, who I've got to say really overperformed last week. A fantastic race from the American standards. Placky there in fifth on 10, then Arch in sixth on 8, and FER Stefano in seventh on 6, Brad is there in eighth on 4, TRL Martin in ninth on 2, and then M Racer in 10th, rounding off the point scorers from round 1 there in Belgium, as we can have a look, of course, at who is going to be racing, or some of the grid that is going to be racing certainly tonight. And Joseph, there have been quite a few changes from the Tier 1 grid as released. Of course, most of these drivers now from Talent Factory, now part of PSL. That's the big breaking news over the last 2 hours or so. First of all, your opinions on that, and second of all, bring us up to date with the drivers racing tonight.
Well, first of all, my opinions on the merge. I was very shocked. I'll be honest, I know it's been joked around for months, Paradox Factory and what have you, but genuinely, their roster is absolutely filled to the brim. In football terms, it's like a Man City, Real Madrid sort of merge, the two sort of European heavyweights at the moment. But in the end, good on them. Good on them for coming to that decision. And in the end, effectively killing all competition. But, that's just what you've got to do when you're in such a high performance position as they are. With regards to the grid tonight, obviously a few changes than what is advertised. We've had a few changes as well more recently as tonight. A few reserves stepping in tonight, but all in all, they did a good job last week. So let's see if they can repeat that today.
Yeah, a few familiar faces actually from my regards in terms of PSGL, PSF1, Sam Gamer joining in as well with Ryderdale. They're two to watch out for certainly from the PlayStation side, but we are now getting, of course, into qualifying, and it is 18 minutes worth of qualifying here tonight. Looking through the chat, good evening to everyone who is tuning in here tonight for Tier 1. If you are just hopping over from Tier 2, which I believe is ending around about now, Mr. Evan Dalton and Steve doing a fantastic job, of course, over there in Tier 1, and we've got the first cars out on track, and the first two cars out on track are Rusty and, indeed, the man of Sam Gamer. If there's any pixelated graphics, by the way, it is the actual nature of the track. It is not my setup, it's not my laptop. We are not living in 20-degree conditions or 40-degree conditions as we did, of course, last season for console Tier 1. But we're here in Qatar, and it is very, very hazy, I've got to say. It might look better, I think, on terms of the camera, so hopefully that'll be all okay. But good evening to everyone in the chat. Hope you're doing well. Francesco asking, thoughts on a PSR 1.9? Maybe so. I think certainly in Legacy Division, which I'm going to be commentating over in, nearly a week and a half's time for round 1, that is going to be very interesting. The setup, of course, of how PSR are going to do is going to be thing. I've got to say, it actually changes the real nature of league racing and team events as a whole with the PlayStation side. We were speaking before the chat, before the stream came live as well. We could think potentially their grids could be, and their roster could just actually drop a little bit. But let's ride on board with the first man out on track who's not part of PSR. I'm glad to say it is NRX Rusty. Rusty, of course, the Brit who, of course, has won Console Tier 1 Championship before in the past, and he's looking to try and get us on the way here in Qatar at the Sale International Circuit, and hopefully it's going to be a good race from Rusty's perspective, and he, of course, qualified for the 2023 F1 Pro Exhibition as well. So we're right on board with the Mercedes. We'll turn the timing tower off and the telemetry on the right-hand side, just so you can see everything as we now come down in towards the right-hander of turn number 1, and then in toward the left-hander of turn number 2. The NOX man coming through turn number 2, just a little bit catching on the curb there, just sending the car slightly wide through turn 3, and now down in towards the right-hander of turn number 4, and the double right there of turn number 5 as well towards the end of the first sector split. Very competitive racing in PSGL on Monday as well. 26.3 from Rusty, not too bad at all. Pole position in PSGL F1, just for a little bit of comparison to that. 120.1 was pole position in PSGL PSF1, and Rusty is now coming to the right-hander of turn number 9 and then into the left-hander of turn number 10. And this is the real fast nature of the track now kicking in. This middle sector can be taken pretty much flat out into the final sector, and Rusty through the middle sector is a 53.1, looking very good indeed. Through turn 11, through turn 12, now through turn number 14, the right-hander, and then into the left-hander of turn number 15, and then into the right-hander of turn number 16. Once again, this has looked a very, very assured lap, I've got to say, from Rusty so far. We should expect him to be around the 120.3, 120.4 mark to begin off the session as Rusty now comes through the DRS zone, through the final corner, on the run to the line, underneath the bright night lights, comes the line, and a 20.2 goes quicker than my prediction.
Yeah, that is an outstanding banker there by NRX Rusty. I think with a few more cars crossing the line as well, including Sam Gamer on a 20.4. That's not even half bad at this stage as well. Just trying to see the next car to come across the line, and I think it's actually possible to get in the 1:19s around here as well. I believe that was achieved in PSGL PSF2, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Do quote me if I'm wrong on that one. So yeah, we are going to get to see some absolutely rapid lap times around here as well, as Kian now goes quickest on a 120.2. PSR Fezzo straight into the point zeros. Wow.
That's quicker already than Tier 2 pole position. Believe it or not. That is unbelievable from the PSR man of Fezzo. Going to be very, very difficult for me to say that, certainly. The Talent Factory man, they're in P1 from Kean, they're in P2, of course, now part of the PSR team, of course. I have been told to turn you up on my screen, so I'm going to do that right now. You are coming through a little bit quiet, I've got to say, but it is just his microphone. I know there were complaints last week, I believe, as well, in the console Tier 1 chat that I saw, that he needs a new microphone. Well, he doesn't, and I have turned him up, so hopefully that will be a little bit better. If that is not, I will try and turn him up even more, and maybe even blow your ear sockets out at the case as well. But Fezzo out on top, Tom there in second, now going in between the both of them for Kian in third, Rusty there in fourth. Max is on a lap as well, 27.8 through the middle sector. He's actually now coming to the left hand of turn number 10. I don't think he's actually on a run. Is the PSR man, not the Talent Factory man, as you can see on your screen. But hopefully everything is all okay with the stream. Hopefully everyone is doing well. Fezzo, Tom, and Kian currently in the top 3 as it stands, but plenty of invalidations in the first run. However, a man that I'm very much looking forward to, my first experience of him, of me commentating on him, is TRL Martin, of course, the AOR champion back in the day on F1 2018, I think it was. Very much a role model then, hopefully a role model now, and of course a former WOR driver as well, as he comes now down and towards the right-hand return number 1.
Yeah, apparently he had a little bit of a foot injury at work, so hopefully he has recovered from that. He is deemed fit to drive here tonight. TRL Martin scored his first points last week since Abu Dhabi in Season 8. Now, I don't know the official record for longest gaps between point scoring finishes in WOR, but that might be one of the quickest. It's claiming a nice purple first sector for TRL Martin as he goes through the slowest corner on the track at turn 6, up now through the medium speed turn 7, the kink of 8, and then turn 9. This long right-hander coming up now, completely flat out through there. Plenty of exit curve, and he draws it back into the apex for a pretty neat and tidy exit. We'll see what his second sector split is looking like. We're expecting something about that, 53.0, perhaps a touch slower than what we're seeing the leaders doing at the moment, but into the flat out section of track. Turn 15 is a difficult one. There's a bump right on the apex, so it can just disrupt the car, and you can end up hitting an easy invalidation, I should say, coming out of there. Right to the final corner now. A full lap with TRL Martin. It's been pretty neat and tidy for his first ever WOR Tier 1 lap at Qatar. Crosses the line, and he's done exactly the same time as NRX Rusty. That is a good start.
Foot injury, what foot injury? They're in P5, but going up with the toll of Rusty there in fourth. Fantastic lap from him. We're getting the second drivers now, or the second run's about to begin as well. Drivers just leaving the pit lane for that. Jack and Rodadell, the first two, out on track as well. Looking through the chat as well, saying the sound is low. Apologies, I think that might have been on Joseph's end. Hopefully it is all rectified now. Let me know in the comment section. If it's not, I will turn it up even further. Jensen saying in the chat as well, James said qualifying, that comes a beautiful sound. And I've got to say, you'd be expecting more of that for Legacy Division, because I'm going to be doing that alongside Jota, of course, and I think the first race is in Monaco, if I'm not mistaken, on the 22nd of August, so hopefully you can tune in for that as well. Back in the now and here, it is, of course, Console T1. It's Fezzo out on top from Tom in second, Kian there in third, TRL Martin there just backing off, of course, on his down lap. Let's have a focus then on the man who's there in the Alpine tonight, CF10 Rodadell, man that I know very well from PSGL, PSF1. Did very well, I've got to say, around here as well in the past, and looks to try and consolidate his form from, of course, the other league that I've been mentioning about 3 or 4 times already on this stream. But Rodadell is a very quick driver. First, actually, race, I believe, in PSF3, if I'm not mistaken. Made his way up from there, and Rodadell there in 14th. Looking very good, I've got to say. But so far, 20.9, not living up to my expectations of him, certainly.
Yeah, from what I've seen as well, he's a very consistent driver when it comes to just getting results as well. So when WOR does turn to PSGL and the top tier 4 reserve drivers, not from the league directly, just drivers. that would be a bit strange, negotiating drivers to race in a league. But yeah, Rodadell, a brilliant example of just how we can fill this grid up to the brim. Unfortunately, it's a very clumsy invalidation coming through turn 2. It's where you see too much inside curve through there, but Rodadell has been a victim of it. I think he's going to keep pushing here, though.
Yeah, I'd like to imagine so. I'm just going to turn up my laptop. Apologies if you did hear that. Your mic is still apparently very low. Might just be his general mic quality, I think. That is coming through on my end. Rodadell, though, invalid there on that lap. Second man, I think, was Jack going onto his lap as well. And he just came out the first sector split. Didn't actually catch what his first sector was like, but he's got about 60% of EOS as he now comes in toward the right-hander now, turn number 7. This is pretty much the more difficult part of the track, through 8 through 9, and then in towards turn number 10. Get this corner wrong on the inside. You've already seen invalidations before. Literally as I speak, Jack runs wide coming through turn number 10, and that is the easy thing you can do around here in Qatar. Jack running wide there, through now turn 11, 12 and 13. Obviously he's not going to improve in terms of his lap time, But this is such a difficult track. Track limits don't really get explored much. Oh, and he's nearly been chopped off by Red Bull, I think, and he's protesting against that Red Bull. That Red Bull, I think, on an outlap, if I'm not mistaken, is Kai, who's there in 6th position. So Kai invalidating, well, not invalidating, getting in the way there of Jack there in P12. Kai is actually coming through the final corner, so it's the other one of Sav, who is championship leader. And if that is going to be reported to the stewards, Sav might be in a bit of trouble there.
Yeah, usually any form of impeding is well, straight away qualifying ban. I was going to say slap on the wrist, but no, it's a lot more severe than that. That could very much be a problem for when Sav heads to Saudi Arabia. But it's not the first time we've seen an act of impeding there, is it? I mean, Jake Benham, Barry Burrowman rings a bell almost immediately coming out of turn 15 at Qatar. So hopefully we won't see anything as extreme as that. But yeah, a near miss for the pair of them. Sav goes on here again, a nice first sector for him, claiming purple, and we know just what he can do in qualifying conditions. Missed out on pole by 4/100ths of a second last week to his teammate PSR Kai, who want to get back on pole this evening though, as he takes on now the triple right-hander. Turn 12, 13 and 14, a sensational triple right, almost reminiscent of Turkey turn 8 and the Qatar final section as well. Really flicks it in again. That bump up slightly upsetting the Red Bull, but he manages to keep it going. PSR Placky has gone quickest at 20.065, but it's all eyes on Sav as he comes up to the line. Oh, behind PSR Kai, I should say. Absolutely sensational. Sav goes even quicker by 4/100ths of a second into the 19.9s. Sav from Kai, another Red Bull 1-2.
Yeah, and unfortunately it's a PSR domination. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 currently for the team. Martin is on a lap as well, 26.4 through the first sector. He's not actually improving. Jerry Van Bussel is on a lap, I believe, coming to the left-hander now, turn number 10. I think he's actually just back off one. So Jerry Van Bussel there in 11th position. I'm just trying to see if there's anybody actually on a lap. Cindery was on a lap, but he's backed off. Nixon Ballard coming through the middle sector, now through the final sector into the final corner. Looks like he might go again, potentially. He has missed the pit lane, so if he is going to be out of sync towards everyone else, that could cost him a little bit later on. Cavendish there asking in the chat, saying he hopes PlayStation wins. So do I, because I'm a PlayStation commentator by heart. And Cavendish also saying, any PC guys racing? Unfortunately, no. No Jake Benham, no Jona Watmia, no Thomas Ronhar. Nobody like that here. You've got the best of the console guys. And, of course, you've got Pro Exhibition class drivers and even maybe F1 Esports drivers going forward as well, which would be fantastic. Sav there out on top, though. Kai in second, Flacky in third. Who said PSR wasn't going to dominate here in WOR Console Tier 1?
I mean, I'm just interested to see if this means they extend the party chat numbers. Do they now go in a Discord voice call and everybody gets engineered in this way? I mean, the names are throwing me off already. It will take a little bit of getting used to, and it'll be weird not calling Talent Factory from a commentary standpoint. But of course, all the best to everybody involved in that project. Axon Martin, I think, pulling into the pit lane as well. Martin has improved a little bit. It's so close out there at the moment. PSR Nick running slightly out of sync. He's on an in lap. It's not been a great start for the German, who had his race curtailed last week after being greeted at the bus stop chicane by a Mercedes side pod. So he'll hope for something a little less unfortunate than that tonight.
Yeah, that Mercedes iPod, I believe, as well, was Kazizel. I was watching that incident back a little bit earlier on. It was Kazizel, I think, that made a mistake. Got absolutely sideswiped, did Nick. Nick, unfortunately, then got stuck, I think, on the entrance into the pit lane. Luckily, none of that here. He's actually managed to come into the pit lane just fine here in Qatar. He's down in 15th position, though, looking under the cosh, potentially. Of course, it is not Q1. It's just short qualifying, 18 minutes in length. Looking through the chat as well, Leatherbell in the chat there as well, who I know has been a very, very much integral part of Talent Factory moving forward. I hope you're doing well. And Martin also saying to us on social media, on X, formerly, of course, Twitter, let me kook, LMAO. And currently he is kooking in 9th position. The man who is 1,000th of a second behind Axe, 1,300th of a second behind Sam Gamer. And if he's got a foot injury, he's certainly disguising it very well.
Yeah, Jeff Shreves has told him he's a tough cookie and he's happy to carry on. if you have played the FIFA games, or indeed the FC games, as it's now known as, you will know about that reference. But if not, don't worry, we won't go too far into that. Stefano still trundling around on low fuel mode. M-Racer, though, the Tier 2 champion, and has obviously secured a ride in Tier 1 without having to go through that pesky sign-up process. He's out on track at the moment. Everybody else coming out of the pit lane soon, but M-Racer taking it easy, so he won't be affected by the traffic.
Yeah, definitely so. And of course, M-Racer did finish off last week in 10th position, so he has already scored points so far this season. The German, formerly, of course, of VSR, now a part, I believe, I'm just going to get up in my notes, very much so. He is in part, of course, of Nexus Racing now, NOX, who have, I believe, qualified for Legacy Division. I'm going to have to look through my notes for Legacy Division myself. But NOX, I'm pretty sure, have actually qualified for that. M-Racer, of course, took the Tier 2 Drivers' Championship in Season 14, 187 points and 4 wins for his name. And, of course, he was part of the VSL squad, as I mentioned, in Legacy Division last season and recently moved to NOX following VSL's disbanding on console. And, well, we've already seen one team disband here tonight in Talent Factory. Of course, VSR, much loved, I've got to say, within the league racing community, and hopefully M-Racer is finding his home in NOX, and we'll run on board then with the German, now coming through the final corner to start off once again on his lap. We'll turn the timing tower from the left-hand side, just because no one's on a lap at this stage, and there comes down in towards the right-hander of turn number 1. It's about a 370-metre run from the start-finish line in towards turn number 1, and here is turn number 1 as M-Racer now flies through. Now through the left-hander of turn number 2, and the German, getting caught on that inside bump there slightly, just runs wide through turn 3, then in toward the right-hander of turn number 4, the LaSalle International Circle, of course. 2004, first also the MotoGP race around here. 2008, it became a night race as well, and that's what you're seeing here tonight, a night race in full underlit conditions. 2.5 tenths up from M-Racer through the first sector, looking very assured indeed through that first sector. Now coming in towards my very much favourite and tricky corner on the track, through the right-hander of turn number 7, then through the kink of 8, then in towards turn number 9. He's got a bit of traffic ahead of him, just puts him off slightly through turn number 9, and now through the left-hander of turn number 10. And this is the wide part of the track where you will see a lot of DRS trains, a lot of overtaking potentially into this part of the track as well. And the 53.1, clearly not up there with the likes of Sav and the Red Bulls towards the top end of the field, but M-Racer certainly looking good on this lap.
Yeah, he is indeed, and this is where the traffic builds up, though. Smoke on the left-hand side. M-Race was invalidated, so easy to do, as we said, on the exit of 15. Let's see what he would have been able to do. He will not be able to charge up the battery and go again. He certainly won't have enough fuel, that's a given. He crosses the line, it's a 1 minute 20.308. That would have put him in P11, so for M-Racer, it wasn't the best of laps, I'm sure, by his standards, but just not having it valid, of course, is a bit of a bummer as well. NRX Sindri, I think, is the next car to cross the line, and he has also had a slide and is invalidated on the exit of turn 16. And then I think it's one of the Aston Martins.
It is indeed. Sav, however, is 200s down in the middle sector. Kai in second position has already invalidated his run, so he's not going to go again. Tom back in the pits. Ryan is done. They've actually missed going on to their final runs, so they are in 4th and in 12th, and they can only hope to stay there as well. Sav now embarks through the final corner on the run to the line, a 19.942 to beat himself and his own time on the run to the line. And he does. 19.864, quicker than F2. Paul in PSGL goes quicker though. Placky though was improving. 1100 top slight slide coming out of turn number 10, but the Dutchman is looking very good until he invalidates on the exit of turn number 10. So invalidations catching people out. He in there through the final corner. He's invalid as well. Sam Gamer's invalid. Axe, however, is on the run, and he's a 52.8 in the middle sector. Max one to watch out for. The AlphaTauri on the run towards the line as well. Down in 20th position. Where's he going to go? Doesn't actually, I think, go across the line. I think he's back in the pit lane is Max, if I'm not mistaken. He might be coming through the final couple of corners, actually. Axe now coming through the final corner. Let's see what the American can do. He was certainly cooking on social media. Let's see if he can cook with this lap. Axe on the run to the line. Goes third, a 120 lap. Brilliant lap from him. Max is done. He's invalidated on his lap. Stefano's invalid. Nick on the run to the line goes 9th. Cindery, I think, is the final man out there, but he's also invalid, and that means that's the end of qualifying. Plenty of invalidations late on. Savad on top, Kai in second, Axe in third. Well, at least we only get a PSR 1-2.
Well, just as they did last week, Sav and Kai occupy the front row, this time in inverted order, the order that they finished in. But Axe F1 right at the death, when so many drivers had invalidated, he comes in, sets a 20 on the dot, literally on the dot, and the driver that scored more points last week than he did in the entirety of season 14 qualifies third. I'm sure he's absolutely ecstatic with that. Tom at the death as well, going up into P5. What a qualifying session it was. And TRL Martin, that is a name, back in the top 6 in qualifying. There's so many good stories in just an 18-minute session. If this is anything to go by, this race will be very special.
Yeah, it's going to be very special indeed. It is Sav on top from Kai in second, Axler in third. Good qualifying from him. Blackie in fourth, Tom there in fifth, who apparently is Jamaican tonight. Martin in sixth, Bezel in seventh, Mankeen in eighth, Nick in ninth, and Barack ran off the top 10 with Sam Gamer in 11th, Rusty in 12th, then Rodadell, Joe Van Bussel and Jack ran off the top 15. Ryan, Cindery, Stefano, M Racer, and Max further down the field, 20th on the grid. Going to be one to watch out for. We're going to take a slight intermission break. You'll hear from our sponsors, Grid Finder, and of course, Next Level Racing. And we'll be back with you in about, hopefully, a minute. And hopefully, the race doesn't start before then. And that was a word from our sponsors, of course, Grid Finder and indeed Next Level Racing. And a big thank you, of course, to them for sponsoring us for Season 15 of Console Tier 1 and indeed for Crossplay Tier 1 as well, because it is the same thing these days. And we are here, of course, in Qatar. You've already asked the question there in the chat, Joseph. Predictions, Smokey saying Kai for P1, Rev Caterpillar saying Axe P1, very interesting look on that, and Francesco saying Sav, Kai and Fezzo for a top 3 as well. Let me know your predictions, let Joseph know your predictions there as well in the chat, and I'm going to come across to you, Joseph, because I don't know when these guys are going to ready up, probably very soon. Who's your top 3 coming into tonight?
Oh, I'm going to go for another Sav victory ahead of Kai again. But on the podium, I'm going to go a little bit further down. I'm going to go outside the top 10, I think. I like to do this, and sometimes it comes off for the driver. I'm going to go for Rusty to pull through from P12. I don't know why. He might just have that blistering start that you can get in Qatar, find the space, and then be able to charge forward from there. I don't know, in all honesty. This could be a complete mix-up for all we know. I've prompted them to go... I said about a minute ago, about 45 seconds ago. So fair play to everybody for obeying that, and hopefully we'll get started shortly.
Hopefully we will get started shortly indeed. IJZE in the chat saying Max last the first. Wouldn't rule him out, to be honest, judging by his performance, of course. I don't think he was actually there in PSGL, PSF1, but I know he's got very good form around this track recently. Shaolin Soul saying Alphonse Firecracker the third. I'm not sure who that might be, but thank you for the comment anyways. And he just actually came in and said it to the wrong chat. Thank you for your comment. We will appreciate that forever and ever for the rest of this night, I think. Iggy there saying in the chat, Axe for P1 as well. What a love I've got to say for Axe. He was P4, of course, last week in the result and did a very, very good job, I've got to say, in that, proving that form is there. And, of course, Joseph, he's scored already more points than what he did last season.
Yeah, absolutely. He had horrendous luck on opening laps last time around. And here we go, speaking of opening laps.
5 red lights about to go out here in Qatar at the Sale International Circuit for Crossplay Tier 1, and it is... Lights and away we go, and Sav gets a very good start. Kai a little bit stronger off the start, though. Axe might be under pressure from Placky and Tom towards turn number 1, but Sav will lead in towards turn number 1 from Kai in second. Axe there in third. A little bit of carnage coming through turn number 1. A little bit of contact there from Martin, trying to go up the inside line of Tom. Everyone's through clean, clean one. Turn 1 clean. Goodness me, I can't get my words out. There's contact further down the field. Kian is one that has spun. The PSR man has ran. M-Racer, I think, got caught up in that as well. Luckily, I think everyone else is cleared through, but Sav leads the way. Kai in second. Placky there in third. Running wide, though, I think, is Axe. He's under pressure there from Martin out to the outside line in towards turn number 6. Tries to get the move done as well on the Aston Martin. That is some game up the inside of Cindery in the mid-pack. Everyone else clean through. Not sure what happened there with Keen. I can only think he's got caught with contact with M-Racer, if I'm not mistaken. He's down there in 20th position. The PSR man under pressure early on, but it's Sav that leads the way. Kai in second, Placky in third. For the majority, Joseph, clean opening lap.
Yeah, not quite sure what happened with Kian, but I was watching Axe on the opening lap. He touched with Placky's rear left tyre, coming out of turn 2 and onto turn 3. And then he came together with Tom as well through turn 4 and onto turn 5. He went wide and then lost an additional position to Fezzo. He's having a pretty poor opening lap here. Like I mentioned just before the lights came on to interrupt me, Axe has typically had some pretty horrendous luck on opening laps. This is another example on it, but it'll be grateful that he's still going in a fairly strong P6 here.
Oh my
Martin
word.
doesn't look to be applying pressure. 3 wide in the background, Rusty on the inside, Nick in the middle and Sindri on the outside. The 2 Mercedes go wheel to wheel. Rusty holds the inside of NRX Sindri. It's unlikely those 2 will come together, but Rusty up 3 positions.
Up 3 positions, fantastic move, and I tell you what, take some balls to pull that one off. Sam Gamer as well to the inside line on Nick, a little bit of contact there, a little bit of a lag spike even, but Sam Gamer to the inside line. Canadian tries to get the job done, he has got the job done and forcing the inside line. That was Jerry Van Bussel, who was spun in the background, I think. Nobody else got caught up in that, if I'm not mistaken. Max is through fine along with Jack. Jack might have got off put potentially by that, but Jerry Van Bussel up the inside of turn number 5, doesn't get the move done, doesn't stick. There's 2x2 like Noah's Ark as they come through the middle sector now with Jack, M-Racer, Stefano all glued together like a bit of super glue, as now Ryan looks the inside line as well into turn number 10. Not often an overtaking position, but he might just get this move done on the outside of Max. Max is absolutely struggling early on in the AlphaTauri. Ryan is round the outside of turn number 11, now through 12. And in the end, Max says, you know what, I'm coming through anyways. Ryan is not going to be happy with that. TF and OP already getting each other's throats and haven't even reached Legacy Division yet.
I mean, PSR, whatever you are now. Yeah, that's always going to be heated on the PlayStation side of things. DRS will be enabled in about a lap's time, because of course we do the entirety of lap 3. Here comes Tom down the inside of Placky. Again, bit of wheel banging in the mid part of the corner. That sets Placky, slightly offline. Fezzer goes straight through, says thank you very much. He's had a piece of the action, but will anybody fight back going through turn 4 and 5? I don't think so, considering that PSR Sav and PSR Kai are starting to get away.
Now, up saying in the chat, that is murder. I totally agree. I think with Ryan's perspective, Max there through and he's into P16. Ryan there down in 17th position. He'd be looking to try and gain through the field. And it is, of course, a DRS heavy track. So you will get a lot of people within a short space of time. And there will obviously be a lot of contact in this race as well. But now, I totally agree with you, my friend. I think that was pure and utter, well, it could have been better delivered, I think, from Max, is what I'll put it as. They're in 16th position, Ryan there in 17th, dropping down a position. Kian there down in 10 positions. Jerry Van Bussel down 7, and Rotterdam as well, who actually picked up damage, I think, on the first lap. He has came into the pit lane, so Rotterdam got caught up maybe in that incident on the last lap there, down in 20th position, 27.8 seconds behind back of Jerry Van Bussel at this stage. DRS, of course, is enabled on this lap. We'll have a look at the position gains further up the field as well as Fezzle now tries to close in once again on the back of Tom. The PSR man trying to close in on the Shazoo man. Currently PSR 1-2-4-5 if you're keeping up with PSR Bingo right now. Some game into the inside on and Cindery, the two Mercedes, the Aston Martin and the Mercedes going side by side in towards turn 1. Very late on the brakes there from Sam Gamer. Forces Cindery out completely to dry. Cindery gaining 7 positions though. Goes to the inside line of turn number 2. Sam Gamer still there on the outside line. Not going to get that one done, my friend. And Cindery through and he's into P10 and Sam Gamer, I think, to just wait behind and wait for the opportunity to come.
All due respect to Sam Gamer, of course, the Canadian driver. Won't be too nice to race with him with the potential lag problems, but he has a slide. Cindery's tapped on the rear left tyre. Cindery has to correct the Mercedes coming out of turn 6. Sam Gamer stays behind, and for a man that has built a YouTube following on open lobby videos, I did have a look before we started here tonight. I'll tell you what, he's not racing too badly, but thank goodness that attempt at turn 6 didn't go any worse than it perhaps could have been.
Yeah, I've got to say, though, that Open Lobbies has got him far. He is part of Parnell Racing now, formerly, of course, of ETA. A very good driver, I've got to say, as well. And, of course, P3 in Silverstone and PSGL PSF1 this season as well. So he has got good form. He's got good form around this track as well. And Sam runs wide there slightly through turn 15 on the back of Cindery. But let's focus our attentions further up the field because Tom, on the back of Kai, is looking very, very interesting indeed. The Aston Martin there on the back of the Red Bull, 4 tenths per second as they come across the line between the top 2 as Kai looks towards the inside line and Saab. But this is going to be a typical game of PSR chicken, I think, down in towards turn number 1 and a bit of team tactics. And I think one of our drivers mentioned on social media, and I'm trying to think for the life of me who it was. It might have been Axe, if I'm not mistaken. So he was absolutely sick of the fight and sick of the Red Bulls being out in front of him in P1 and 2. Well, Tom has got to deal with them both now, and the Red Bulls are currently 1-2 here in Qatar.
Yeah, it's going to be so hard to pass them because obviously they can form a roadblock, and around here at Qatar, yeah, if you are forming roadblocks into high-speed corners, you've got absolutely no chance. PSR Nick is slow here. He has slowed right down to a stop, and by the looks of it, it might be a problem with his brake, considering the telemetry was fluttering. The red bar just coming up on the left-hand side. He might have now fixed that, and he's back on the move again. But Nick, a potential championship contender, is yeah, it's his second race with horrendous luck.
It is a second race with his horrendous looks. He did say on social media, though, however, that he promised to win here in Qatar. He's now down in 19th position. Oh, how the good fall there down at the back end of the field. As Kai now and Sav are going to swap positions, I think. The Red Bulls now side by side down the straight, and Kai is going to inherit the lead onto lap 6 out of 29 we go. And Kai now leads from Sav in second, but Tom rampaging at them down the straight in towards turn number 1. Tries to look for the move. Stefano and Jack are side by side as well in the foreground of shot. And now looking to the inside line as Ryan, as Nick has retired in the pit lane. You might be right with that brake pedal problem potentially. If it's a Fanatec wheel, certainly they've been getting a lot of bad complaints, I've got to say. And if it is a Fanatec wheel, I'm not sure if it is, but if Nick is going to try and rely on them, he needs to fix the problem immediately. But he's down there in 19th, DNFing out of the race. And what can you do when your technology fails you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was watching him carry on around the lap, and he did have the same sort of issues through the flat-out corners. He was just having brake pressure applied, and it was completely fair enough of him to slow down and actually let the pack go through instead of trying to make a meal out of his issue. PR Jack L has been off the track, by the way. He's had a little bit of gravel on his front left tyre, but he's back on the road again now. It might have been a small coming together with M-Racer, or potentially a mistake completely on his own accord. Barrett Q7 on the medium tyres is lagged out of the race here. If I have him as a friend, I'll try and get him back in.
Fezzo looking to the outside line on the back of Tom. Tom's just picked up a 3-second penalty, I think, as a result of that little bit of lag spiking, so he might look into getting that one removed. But Fezzo's going to not remove this position. Looks to the inside line now, in towards turn number 1. PSR against Shazoo. You'll see this in Legacy Division as well in Monaco in a week and a half's time, as Fezzo looks to the inside line on the back of Tom in towards turn number 1. There was 3 wide, I think, in the back end as well. Some gamer gets both Cindery and Rusty in towards turn number 1. That was just off on the mini-map. Fezzo can't find the way through on Tom, though, for 3rd position at this stage of the race. Speaking of penalties so far, Ryan looking on the back of Jack L. Jack the Parnell Racing man now going to be absolutely shafted potentially to the outside line as Ryan will get this job done. Jack to the inside line. Shafted I think was the wrong word there, but he does get the job done. He runs wide slightly and Tom has contact in towards turn number 5 and he's spun. So Tom has spun round down at 14th position. Rodadell was the tide there in the pit lane as well. Not sure what went on there, but Tom, he is so far off track. He's picked up gravel and I'm not sure if he's actually run wide there or if he's just been forced wide.
Yeah, I was actually trying to flick back to the action. I just caught Fezzo. It looked like a bit of ambition ahead of Artesian going into turn 6. Slap bang into his rear left tyre. Tom spinning around as a result. Could potentially have some side pod or even floor, rear wing damage. He spun again here. So we're certainly feeling the consequences already. Absolute real shame to see Shazoo Tom have that instant. Fezzo, though, I don't think will be best pleased with himself after that one.
Yeah, Wiener saying in the chat, Fez will crash in from looks that way. It does look like way. We did miss the action though. Sav though is going to get the move done on Kai down in towards turn number 1. Lap 8 out of 29 and also Axe looking to the inside line on Placky. Sav through on Kai for the race lead and now Axe looking maybe for 2 positions here. Looks the inside on the Alpine of Fezzo. Doesn't get that one done, but he does get the job done on Placky. Placky, to be fair, gave him that room as Tom retires there back into the pit lane. 3rd retirement in as many laps, I think, in this race. As Tom there leaves the session, I'm sure in absolute disgust. He will be very unhappy that he has not had this look whatsoever. But Sav there out on top. Kai there in 2nd, Fezzle there in 3rd, and Tom there saying in the chat, the JR man, Tom, saying in the chat, wouldn't be the first time, unfortunately, and yeah, they have had a history between each other on the PS side, certainly. I know that for sure, because I've been commentating on them on the PS side as well. But Sav there leading the way, Kai in 2nd, and now, because of that mistake from Tom and that bit of contact that we had between Fezzle and Tom, Fezzle now 1.4 seconds off, 29% of ERS. The front 2 are getting the way here, and Fezzo has got to be very careful. He does not want to be in this position right now. If I was him, I'd drop behind Axe and let the ERS be saved up.
Red Bull dominance is boring fans, the live chat cries as they run away with it here for another potential 1-2. No, it's not over yet, obviously. Still the potential for safety cars. The inevitable double stack that we saw so much of last week in the pit lane when the conditions change, and that could mix up the order. But for PSR, Kai, he is going to retake the lead on track. A 2nd or 3rd change between our race leaders at the moment. Here comes Tyrrell Martin down the inside of PSR Placky. Is he going to get on the throttle nice and early to get the traction and potentially go around the outside at turn number 2? Can he go the long way round? No, Placky with some really good defending there at the first 2 corners. Martin will have to just sit behind and wait for the opportunity.
Gotta say, Tyrrell Martin is looking all over the back of Placky here, and to be fair, he is not looking out of shape at all. He might have been, like most footballers these days, and that is, of course, coming back from pre-season. You've had a bit of a blow, and you're coming back from a year off in WOR. Martin, I've got to say, is doing a fantastic job. They're in 6th position, causing a bit of lag there. Rodadell leading the session there, so hopefully he will be able to get back in. He's not actually, because he's DNF, of course, out of the race, so he doesn't care that he can come back into the session. Martin, though, in 6th position, not looking out of place whatsoever, but these little lag spikes that are being caused by drivers rejoining and leaving, just causing a few issues, and Sam Gamers now, as a result, all over the back of Martin, who's now just a bit under pressure. But the Alfa Romeo, up until that point, and up until those lag spikes didn't happen, was right on the back of Placky, so Martin looking out of, well, not out of his comfort zone whatsoever. Sam Gamer looking a bit out of his comfort zone as he looks to try and get the move done through the final corner. A bit of a slide there, actually, from the Canadian, running down in towards turn number 1 once again. Axe closing in quickly on the back of Fezzo as well. Is he going to look towards the inside line? That's the wrong driver. That is Axe to the inside line on Fezzo, but doesn't get the move done. And in the end, no moves happen further down the field. It is Kai that leads, Sav in 2nd, and Fezzo, who's ran wide at turn number 1, has picked up a 3-second penalty.
I was going to say, Axe doesn't really need to take the risk, considering it's quite a steep margin to actually go on and catch up to the top 2. And then all of a sudden, the risk just, well, you know, it's a lot less now even as well because of the 3-second time penalty to Fezzo. Now, of course, it's very common to pick them up around here. A little slide, you're outside the track limits and you do start accumulating the warnings. So Fezzo, the first real major penalty in this top 10. Rusty did pick one up earlier, as has TF Max as well. They've got to be extra cautious now, and they'll be hoping for no safety cars towards the back end of this race as well, because with the field so confined, you'll lose a lot more positions than you would than if the race just plays out on its own.
Yeah, definitely so. And of course, we're getting to the point in the race. We're only on lap 10 out of 29, but we are coming to the point where everything now is going to change in terms of the tyres. Medium compounded tyres, their lifespan is 18 laps, so we should see drivers pitting in. There's only one out there, that is Jack. On the back, oh, is that Sam Gamer? Looks to the inside line, and Martin in towards the final corner. Aston Martin up the inside of the Alfa Romeo, now going to be under pressure from Cindery and behind, and this could be 3 wide down the straight. Sav's going to take Kai for the race leading all of this as well, and Cindery trying to close in again on the back of Martin, but I think ERS management is so important around this track. They're just going to stick in behind each other, down in towards turn 1. Martin there looking now on the back of Sam Gamer once again. But Sam now through and he's into P6. Very easy move in there in the end out of the final corner. And looking through in terms of the comments as well, Cavendish saying, I believe in Sam. He's going to do the undercut and close the gap with the Red Bulls. Certainly looking that way. He's got one move done on the back of Martin. Now sets up Placky potentially in towards turn number 6. He looks towards the inside line, but he's not going to be enticed by that battle. Placky, to be fair, runs wide. Gives Sam Gamer a chance on exit of the corner, but if I was in Sam Gamer's shoes right now, I'd be trying to just hang back. But Placky is costing them time, and do you know what, Joseph? They're nearly outside of DRS range as well, so Sam might want to get this move done sooner rather than later.
Yeah, he will, and obviously if the margin creeps over 1 second, then Sam Gamer will be straight on the ERS, open up the DRS and make sure he's within 1 second of Axe himself. But it's important to note the undercut. It is so powerful around here. We can see drivers pit sort of lap 12, 13, 14, so not too far away. Gain around 5 seconds even from those laps, well, depending on how many laps earlier you pit. But then, of course, it really comes down towards the end of the race, and it will make for a really interesting strategic game here, despite the majority of the field starting on hards, which we might not have seen in Belgium in normal conditions. Sam Gamer, an absolute slingshot down the start-finish straight. A complete mismatch for Placky, who didn't have the DRS, and now Sam Gamer's got to do the hard work on this lap to catch back up to Axe F1.
Yeah, he was on a rocket ship on the way to Mars, I think, with that move down in towards turn number 1. Sam Gamer through and he's into 5th. Very easily done. And do you know what? He's got straight line speed. He can stick with Axe, I've got to say. Axe is doing a great job there in 4th. He's pressurising Fezzo potentially for that battle as well. Everything's just a little bit spaced out. I'd rather see Sav and Kai maybe just give a little bit of tacticalness, I think, out in front between the both of them. Let Fezzo catch back in, because of course they're part of the same team now. They're working as if they're not part of the same team, even though it is an individual event and it is all drivers based. But Sav and Kai, first and second, the Red Bulls clearly in the party with each other as Max there picks up a penalty. Max, to be fair, in there in P11, he's under pressure from Ryan, but he has gained 9 positions off the race start, right down the back end of the field. Ryan has a huge snap of oversteer coming out of turn number 10 as well. But Max, to be fair, is letting them back through, and Ryan is through and he's into 11th, and that is purely based on tactics, and that is purely based on, I want the DRS, my friend.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned the PSR duo out in front. I'm not sure the rule book would be too happy with potentially giving an unfair advantage to somebody else. TF Max, that's a very early pit stop. I mean, he did let Ryan through, so I don't know if there's also a problem with equipment here as well. Done. He's still in the pit lane. It's an inevitable retirement. And it's such a shame to see 4 drivers just like that, really, through no fault of anybody's, out of this race here. So we've shrunk the order now down to 16 drivers. Barra, I don't think is back in either. I've not had any sort of friend request or contact, I'm afraid.
No, he joined.
So nothing too much. Oh, is he back in? That's brilliant. Sorry, I didn't quite see that one. But yeah, back to 16 then, and 13 laps in.
Yeah, but Max actually just came into the pit lane, I believe. He is under his own volition. He is not ghosted on my screen, at least. So I think he snuck back in, potentially when there was a battle going on there. The Spaniard down there in 6th position. Of course, formerly WOR Namaya, and joining Talon Factory, joining PSR recently, as recent as about 3 hours ago. So Barack there in 16, looking on the back there of Jack, potentially in terms of an undercut battle that might happen further down the field. And there is that yellow flag in sector 1, and that is Max's AI just getting out of the way. But we are going to see the pit stops happening very soon indeed. Tyre compounds and lifespan. I was saying the medium compound tyres, they only last 18 laps around here. Hards only last 20, so we should see drivers begin to pit in from around lap 15, 16 onwards. However, Fezzo's decided to jump the gun, and he's into the pits early. Same with Martin, same with Rusty as well. And we saw in PSL, PSF1, I think it was Yossi that actually broke onto the back of Kian, gave himself some wing damage. There was no 5-second penalty added to that, but it can happen if you get condensed into the pit lane. If we see that, it might be a 5-second penalty coming the way of the driver, but everyone now sticking onto that set of mediums, and Fezzo Where is Jack coming out on all of this as well? Jack's coming through the final corner. I think Fezzo is going to be well ahead of the man from Parnell Racing.
Yeah, he is indeed, and this is where he has to push flat out now to try and get within the mix of the race leads. Now, of course, he's got that 3-second time penalty, but he won't let that affect him. We'll know that there are opportunities for other drivers to pick up penalties, make mistakes, and all in all, just come out of this a lot better than the position he might have expected. Jerry Van Bussel, a 3-second time penalty. That's for multiple warnings. That's the car 10 seconds ahead of Fezzo at the moment, so plenty of clean air, plenty of time to push, but it's about who responds on this lap, because otherwise we're going to start to see some pretty big undercuts.
Yeah, definitely so. Kai and South currently having that stranglehold on the field, 1.6 seconds even ahead of Axe there in third. Shalon Shu there coming in with probably one of the best comments of the night, saying, come on Axe, axe them all, as Kai is into the pit lane from the race lead. So Kai is into the pit lane. He is going to blink early coming into the pits, nearly crashing with the pit wall. David Coulthard Adelaide, 1996-7, I think it was, nearly did that coming in the pits. But Kai there, into the pit lane, tell the medium compound tyres go on. I can throw my tyre compounds and lifespan strategies completely out the window because none of them are sticking to what I've actually predicted in my commentary notes, which is great. But Kai, in all seriousness, where is Rusty and where is Martin coming out through the final couple of corners along with Fezzo? There is Fezzo coming across the start-finish line around about now. Where is Kai? There is Kai, and actually Fezzo's ahead of him. Fezzo is ahead, and that undercut is so powerful around this track. Kai now behind Fezzo. Fezzo now is in the net lead of the race, but remember, he's got that 3-second penalty overhanging him as Rusty and Sam Gamer are nearly side-by-side through turn number 1 as well, and there is side-by-side action between Jack and Cindery. Jack on that set of hard compound tyres, Cindery on that set of mediums, and the mediums clearly warming up to good effect, and the NRX man is ahead of the Parnell Racing man, and that is Cindery through, and he's into P10. Jack there in 11th position. Sav, Jerry Van Bussel still yet to come in the pit lane. Everyone else has been in for one stop. There's been no VSCs, no safety cars, a bit of carnage in the first laps, but this is racing here in Qatar, and everything is about to get a hell of a lot more interesting.
That's a 2-second undercut from Fezzo, and you really make it 3 seconds because he's already pulled a second on PSR Kai as he was warming up his tyres and getting into the rhythm as he came out of the pit lane. PSR Sav is now into the pits as well. Fezzo should easily have him jumped from what we've seen in his battle with PSR Kai, but will the 2-lap pressure medium tyres be that all-important difference for PSR South? Nice service, as always, by the Red Bull crew as he trundles down the pit lane now at 50 miles per hour. We await Fezzo and we await everybody on behind. Kai is pulled back into the DRS range of Fezzo. Here comes Fezzo down the start-finish straight now, crossing the start-finish line, and PSR Sav is not in sight, but he tucks in perfectly, I think, behind his teammate Kai, and in front of Rusty, who's in a net 4th.
Yeah, Rusty in a net 4th. Undercut, as Cavendish has mentioned, is so powerful on this game. It really is. And Rusty there now in 5th position as a result. He's within DRS range on Sav. Sav's outside of DRS range with Kai. Now, how are PSR going to play this? The Red Bulls will know each other very well. They'll know each other's tactics, I've got to say, coming into tonight. Is Kai going to wait up for Sav? And if he does that, are they going to drop outside of a second to Fezzo? This is now very interesting because Kai and Sav, now outside of DRS range of each other, they're within, what, 5-6 tenths per second of each other. And now Sav's probably on the back foot. He's got the fresher tyres. Joe Van Bussel, by the way, out in front, is still sticking out there, the PSR man, and he could go to about lap 20 or 21 and then decide to come in the pit lane and then decide, potentially, enough's enough, and I'm going to be absolutely miles behind the rest of the field, unlike PSGL PSF1, where he was on the back of the top 6 very late on in that race. But Jerry Van Bussel sticking out there, and he is going to play maybe a little bit of a game with the likes of Fezzo, Kai and Sav, which is going to be very interesting indeed. And currently, for the benefit of PSR Bingo, 1, 2, 3, 4 for PSR, and Rusty there in 5th, currently being the cork in the bottle, essentially, in terms of this battle. As Cindery right on the back of Placky in towards turn 1, actors through on Rusty as well. Cindery looking towards the inside line on the back of Placky. We've got a yellow flag, and that is Kian, who's retired into the pit lane. The PSL man is done out of tonight, so that's unfortunate for Kian. Leaves the session, of course, a little bit of a lag spike for these drivers just to have it to try and navigate. Sam Gamer on the back of Rusty, but in the end, Axel—he's into P5, Rusty there in 6th, but again, just caught on the back foot. But Kai and Sav now back within DRS range, and now normal order is resumed.
Yeah, my wildcard podium pick, NRX Rusty, has now got 6 seconds worth of time penalties. He's been off the track again fairly recently, and that is why he has built up that pretty concerning penalty rate at the moment. That will see him drop outside of the points. As it stands, if you guys are unaware, we do run the conventional Formula 1 points system from first down through to 10th as well. It'll be very easy to forget because obviously I think PSGL runs something different, and amongst all the other tournaments and leagues on the F1 23 game. However, Fezzo is going to start hitting the back of Jerry Van Bussel, I think giving it a lap here, and the race leader might decide to come into the pit lane to just not have to deal with all the fast cars behind him.
No, he's going to absolutely wreck everyone's race, potentially, by staying out there at the minute. Sav there on the back of Kai, but here comes Sam Gamer on the back of Rusty in towards Turn 1, the Aston Martin, looking to the inside line. Jerry Van Bussel picks up a 3-second penalty, but Sam Gamer doesn't care about that. He doesn't care about forcing Rusty wide either through Turn 1. Sam Gamer through and he's into 6th, very late on the brakes. Forced him out there. Rusty was put out there by Sam Gamer. There was no contact between them both. Maybe a little bit of hitbox, if that. But Sam Gamer through, and he's into P6 very late on the brakes. And that is the battle of the late breakers in towards Turn 1. And Rusty, in the end, won't be happy. But it doesn't really make a difference anyways, Joseph, because he's got that 3-second penalty overhanging him.
Yeah, absolutely. He's just got to limit the damage now that he might well sustain in this race. He's got Placky 1.3 seconds behind him. So if he can stick to the back of this DRS train currently led by Axe F1, then he might be able to start building up the margin, maybe even to 3 seconds, and then see what happens with the penalty situation behind him. But for Rusty, it's not ideal. Obviously absent last week. Time to get back into the groove, but unfortunately this race not looking too good on a points-wise anyway, but his pace hasn't been too disturbing either. Jerry Van Bussel has pit at the end of this lap, so doing exactly what I thought he might have, and just got out of the way of everybody. Nice lock-up though into the pit lane. He'll get a set of mediums on and attack to the end.
And Sam Gamer again going to the inside on an Axe this time. Down in towards turn number 1, and Jerry Van Bussel actually retires in the pit lane, says, you know what, he's done. Cindery is not done on Martin either. Cindery looks the inside line on Martin, gets the job done, and M-Race is there on the outside line. The German looking to try and fight with his old rival, TRL Martin, looking to the outside line now through turn number 2 and 3, and the Ferrari is through. Brilliant stuff by M-Racer. Brilliant battle as well. Martin, to be fair, did not give an inch in terms of that battle. M-Racer through and he's into 9th. Martin there in 10th, and the old flame still burns for the Alfa Romeo, but in the end, the young kid on the block, M-Racer through, and he's into 9th.
Yeah, Tyrrell Martin, of course, his league racing legacy dates back years, and he raced in the time that drivers knew how to respect each other and give each other room. Not the absolute dross that we've been served up by some of the elite racers nowadays. So, again, Tyrrell Martin, respectful as always, isn't he? But, I mean, you mentioned the young kid on the block, M-Racer. I don't think he's that young. I think he's about 20 or something like that. He won't like me saying that, of course, but yeah, absolutely. He has been around for a while now, though, of course. Kai and Sav might fancy a change in leadership here. Kai, right on the back of Fezzo. He's 1/10 behind. He has no choice but to overtake Fezzo. Sav coming on through now as well. The Alpine left stranded without the DRS. And it's back to where we were then. Red Bull, 1 and 2.
Yeah, but look at Sam Gamer in behind. I did comment in terms of his pace. Cindery gets the job done on Placky. Nice move, actually, in towards turn 1. Late on the brakes there from the Mercedes. If we just flick on board with that. Kai there leading the way from 7th, 2nd, Fezzo on 3rd as Ryan has spun out of the race, and we've got a safety car. Oh. Safety car out on track. Ryan has spun, coming out of turn number 1. He's gone in the wall on the right-hand side. Hopefully his car will still be there. And it isn't. It's just disappeared. But there's his front wing. There's his damage. Coming out of turn number 1. Got caught on the outside curb, obviously. Spun. Safety car now deployed. And this spites the race up completely. Oh, my word. I'm looking forward to this now. Kai from Sav from Fezzo currently in the top 3. But everyone will stay out there on the same tires they own. I think the only 2 exceptions potentially are going to be Jack and Barack, who are going to come into the pit lane. They'll drop down to 12th and 13th position it'll be. And they imagine, I'd imagine, if the tyres don't go off that quick, they'd go for a set of softs. But I think they'll probably be more smart, certainly smarter than me, and go for a set of medium compounder tyres.
I mean, there's not going to be many laps left. I'd say about 7 laps of racing, potentially. So the softs, I think, are a viable option, but this is exactly what Sav didn't want. Is he going to have to double stack
Kai's
here?
in.
Kai comes into the pit lane. Sav comes into the pit lane now as well. He'll drop back as much as he can on the pit entry. Drivers can get done for this historically. Unsportsmanlike conduct. We saw Lando Norris in Canada drop back to give his teammate a little bit of leeway. And now, there we go. Here comes the double stack. PSR Sav, the round 1 race leader, your championship leader, is going to tumble right down the order if he's not careful. Where is he going to come out as all the drivers re-enter the fast lane? It is looking like P6.
Yeah, but watch out for the man who hasn't came in the pit lane. That's Barack. He's having to stick to his delta, but he is going to be ahead of a few of these guys. Where is he going to come out in relation to everyone who's coming out on a set of softs? He's going to be right bang in the middle of the field, which I feared might just happen. It has happened. Barack now staying out on that sort of hard compound tyres. I'm not saying he's going to stick there. He's going to be a very, very good driver, and he has been a very good driver in WOR. But to be honest, Barack there in 7th, want to spice things up. It's going to cause absolute mayhem halfway down the field. Blackie, M Racer, Cindery, Martin, Stefano, Jack, all out the pit lane. And then you've got a man who's on there on a set of hard compound tyres. If I was in their shoes right now, from 8th to 13th, I'd be thinking, oh my God, what have I let myself into?
Yeah, I think he pits here because I think he's likely to get back up into the points anyway due to penalties. He'd be 13th and a net 10th, at least. So I'd pit here because it's either try and get yourself a point or, you know, tumble down the order with everybody overtaking you, run the risk of crashing and finish 13th for the DNF. I know that was a lot to process, but that is just going to be the trade-off with the Ferrari driver here. And by the way, we've got a mix of soft and medium tyres. Axe F1, notably on the medium tyres, if the driver feels comfortable that he's not going to get a penalty, overstep the limit of grip, and of course, with the medium tyres, you're going to be later to that sort of 25% drop-off period that you start to feel within the car. If he can avoid getting a penalty going on the slower tyre, as with Fezzo, who's already got the penalty, which is why I didn't really touch upon him too much, then why not go for a set of mediums? But it's just about how long the safety car stays out here. Barra is coming into the pit lane here for a set of softs, you'd assume, and we should be in at the end of 22.
Yeah, I would imagine so. Barack there, though, into the pit lane. He'll be going on to, I'd assume, a set of soft compound tyres, given how it's now late on in the race. He will have to go, well, 8 laps, I think, on that set of soft compound tyre. He is coming into the pit lane. Is he going to try and dupe me in terms of the pit strategy? No. Set of soft compound tyres on. The Red Wall C3 compound here in Qatar. C2, of course, being the medium. C1 being the hards. And there we now have everyone back into the pit lane and everyone in as a result of a safety car. And if you're just tuning in, like Mr. Nick Chris has just done, hey guys, he says there in the chat, Mr. Nick Chris, you have missed, my friend, absolutely everything, I think, in this race. Safety car deployed out on track as a result, and that was, of course, of Ryan going in the wall, coming out of the right-hander of turn number 1.
I do believe that Nick Chris is the man that was the first to retire. Yeah, he's missed a lot. Missed a bit too much, in fact.
It is. It is.
Oh, it happens. It happens. Condolences, Nick, for your for your race. Sorry. Yeah, I forgot what I was going to say now.
Actually, I'll ask Nick a question now that he's here. I wonder what happened with his issue that he had. It would be fantastic to hear from what he actually what actually went wrong, I think, in terms of his perspective, because it looked to us, certainly in commentary, it was a brake issue. If he can confirm or deny that in the comments, that would be fantastic and give a little bit of insight into everyone else. But it looks like it was the pedals that went, and in the end, unfortunately for him, down in 20th position. Better luck, I think, to come throughout the season. But in the end, in terms of this, the safety car is now going to come in this lap. Nick down in P20 does not want to be there for much longer in the whole entirety of the season, I think. Certainly will come back, hopefully, if the pedals do get fixed, if that is the case. Kyler now virtual Burt Melander. He's now virtual safety car. And this, Joseph, is going to be very fascinating for the safety car because everyone's on different compounded tyres, majority on softs. People saying in the chat, saying, will the softs overheat? Potentially. And if the softs do overheat, Fezzo, Axe, Martin, and M-Racer have all been very smart and went on the mediums.
I should be able to run away with this off the safety car restart. He's going nice and early. The safety car is into the pit lane and we go racing once again here at the Losail International Circuit. Brilliant restart by Sam Gamer. As you would expect, he's got the run. Fezzo, perhaps a little bit of lag there on board with the Aston Martin, but he's pulled to the right-hand side. He's pulled into second place on his WOR Crossplay Tier 1 debut here this season. He's up onto the podium provisionally. Axe, of course, there by virtue of penalties at the moment, but all 13 drivers filtering through the first sector nice and cleanly.
Except for Martin, who's just picked up a 3-second penalty coming on the exit of turn number 3 there, so that's a shame for the man down in P10. He's under pressure from Stefano as well. Rusty right on the back of Axe, looks for the move in towards turn number 6. Not going to think about that one again. Jackville looking on the back of Stefano in towards this point, and that is how you get a dive bomb done down in towards turn number 6. Jack forces Stefano completely off track. Stefano will not be happy with that. Jack certainly will be. He's up in position. He's up to 11th. Barak now on the back of Stefano as well. And now all normal order resumed here in Qatar. And Nick saying in the chat was contact with Kian and then he had front wing damage and it was so understeery, which is why he retired out of the race. Thank you for confirming that, Nick. Hopefully you won't get any more damage throughout the season and hopefully more will be had. Sam Gamer is looking so quick on the back of Kai. I mentioned earlier on that he looked quick in a straight line. This guy has got an all-round setup on. Sam is right on the back of Kai. And honestly, if he gets to the front and doesn't play the EOS game, he could absolutely waltz away with this.
He could indeed, but Sam Gamer is definitely gaming officially. There's no imposter in the car at the moment. And Fezzo, here he comes, and on the medium tyres, he was pushing it there and trying to get the move done. He's not done yet in this race, despite his penalty. Axe F1 could be on for a Tier 1 podium here this evening as well, if he stays in the position that he is at the moment. Sav yet to make any progress from P6, where he was left out and hung out to dry following the double stack with his teammate PSR Kai. He's got to try and pick a move off here. He's net 4th at the moment, so if he can get up to the back of Axe at least, there could still potentially be a podium on for the championship leader, but if Kai goes on to win, it's all change after round 2.
It will be 84% of EOS as well for Sav, coming out the right-hander there of turn number 7, so he's now going to have to try and rely on that EOS management. EOS management's so important around here, of course, in console Tier 1, and indeed, of course, throughout the scene here in Qatar in terms of the racing, certainly on this game from what I've experienced. Kai there leading the way though, Sam Gamer in 2nd, Fezzo there in 3rd, and Kai all of a sudden has put Sam Gamer completely in the back foot. He's been caught in the dirty air, caught in the wash, and now Sam Gamer's 8/10 down, coming in toward the final corner. So Sam maybe just trying to back off, save a bit of EOS coming through that final sector. Fezzo there in 3rd, everyone looking clean through as they come through. Sav though on the back of Rusty, running down in towards turn 1. Rusty just pulled away from him though, down on a straight line, and I don't think Sav is going to get this move done anytime soon, and we now start to play the real high-speed game of poker and high-speed game of chicken currently in this race. Rev Caterpillar saying the mediums, what a call. Yeah, the mediums currently, Fezzo and Axe, 3rd and 4th position. Doesn't look too bad if you're in that compound tyre, and M-Racer and Martin actually have also gained positions, so the mediums, it seems, better tyre to be on, even though the softs are probably working better.
Absolutely. 5 laps to go in this one. The mediums are only going to get better and better from here. Axe F1, the man that the live chat is certainly favouring. I would love to see him take his 2nd WOR Tier 1 victory and be up with some of the great drivers. But just can he make use of those medium tyres? We'll see. Let's see how big the drop-off is on the softs. Penalty update just for the live chat. Fezzo on 3 seconds, Rusty on 6 at the moment, still under pressure from PSR Sav. That could be an imminent move. Martin on 3 seconds, then Jackal on 3 as well. Ooh. Stefano on 6, and crucially, Sam Gamer official on the topic of penalties has a 3 seconds to his name. Axe F1 now a net 2nd.
He is indeed, and that was out of turn 15. That got picked up from Sam Gamer. That's a disappointment for the Canadian. Here comes Sav, though, on the back of Rusty. In towards turn number 1. Looks the outside line now in towards turn number 1. Very unorthodox. Left yellow flag in sector 3. Stefano retiring in the pit lane, but Sav somehow is going to get this move done. Rusty to the outside line. Brilliant stuff by Sav Still a bit of contact in that, but still very, very close and fair racing, and they're still going at it because Rusty to the inside line at turn number 4. Looks to the inside line, maybe to put Sav out of turn number 5, but in the end, Sav holds position, holds sway, and Placky all of a sudden is all over the back of Rusty, and Rusty now looking a little bit rusty, coming in towards turn number 6, and Placky forced off track there slightly, but a slightest of movement by Rusty might get looked into by the stewards if that is reported, but Placky on the back of Rusty doesn't really matter. He's got 6 seconds worth of penalties, but Rusty and Sav, brilliant battle between them both, and now Sav can skip away from Rusty, who's now on 9 seconds worth of penalties and is oversteering like an absolute humdinger of a barge going into London Bridge.
Yeah, Rusty just hasn't got something right with that setup today, of course. Oh, wow. PSR Placky goes straight into the back of him. Coming through turn 12 now. Placky still on the inside, and he's going to try and force a move here. Rusty holding on for dear life. Something has to be wrong with that Mercedes. Are you kidding me? It's Axe F1 who's around at the exit of turn 15. Sav now has a penalty as well. The man we were hailing to finish a net P2 here. Sindri's crashed. What on earth is going on as Sam Gamer leads the way with Fezzo still on the inside, Kai in the middle. Oh my word.
All hell breaking loose in Qatar. Sam Gamer leads the way. Kai in second. Fezzel there in third. I do not know what happened. That was poor direction from my end, certainly, in terms of the camera work. But Axe Fun coming out, I think, of turn 15 in the end, getting caught up in that incident. I think Rusty's got damage. He must have got damage from either a bit of a collision earlier on, or he's just struggling so much on those tyres. He cannot live with the pace, and 9 seconds worth of penalties to his name. Not looking great, I've got to say, for Rusty at this stage. Maybe under pressure as well to deliver within the team for NRX. But Sam Gamer leading the way. Kai there in second. Fezzel there in third. Harry Jenner saying in the chat, if someone's taken out Axe, I'm throwing hands. So there's going to be some fisticuffs potentially a little bit later on, certainly from the chat end. But Sam Gamer, certainly from his end, leads the way. Kai in second, Fezzel in third. And we missed that moving towards turn number 1. But what I can say, and what I did see, was Sam Gamer to the inside on at turn number 1 and getting the move done on Kai. And he did get that job done. But Kai, in the end, no penalties for his name.
Game's crashed.
Your game's crashed, which is brilliant. Sam Gamer's looking like he's got a disconnection issue as well, potentially going on here as well.
Oh, no.
All hell breaking loose. The lobby is breaking in front of us with 2 laps to go. Kai leads the way. Fezzo in second. Sam Gamer in third. Everything is back to normal. Not sure who's now hosting the lobby, but everything is back to normal. That is surely, though, these final 2 laps, surely going to be questioned, I think, as a result of the game crash that Mr. Joseph had. And unfortunately, it has brought Sam Gamer now back down to third. And now, under pressure from Sav, who's all the way off the back into the right-hand return number 4. We'll see if Joseph can try and get, but Sam Gamer is definitely decent now within the lobby. He's still going around there. He's taken AI control, but unfortunate. It's Kai that leads, Fezzo in second, Sav in third. You're back in the session, but I have a feeling these final 2 laps might get scrapped.
I'm so sorry about that. Unfortunately, Codemasters and the audio glitch that has been so persistent in my headset, it just completely shuts off the game. I really hope it hasn't caused too much desync, but it's not something I can dwell on for too much longer. For me, on my end, it looks okay now back in the session. Let's hope for a clean final lap here and a fair resolution to the race.
Yeah, Sam Gamer on my end is certainly completely desynced. I'm not sure if we're getting maybe 2 different angles here in terms of the race, but Sam Gamer on my end, completely desynced. And there's Placky going up the inside of him in toward the final corner. And Sam Gamer's just there, literally in AI mode, not caring in the world. And he can't take control, I think, of his car. So certainly something going to happen in terms of this. Kai there leading the way, though. Fezzo in second. Certainly for my end, the race continues. Lap 29 and 29. We're getting to the end of the business end of this race here in Qatar, but it seems to be the battle between the front 2. It's Kai and Fezzo. Sav's tire's completely gone off now. 2.5 seconds behind. He's not going to be catching. Sam Gamer is still dropping down the field behind even now Jack, and he is going to be very much frustrated if that is the case, and we are seeing this correctly on my end, certainly. Sam Gamer has been completely and utterly robbed, I think, within this race, and nothing that Joseph could have done. His game just crashed on himself. Nothing, no scripting whatsoever in terms of that. It happens from time to time. I had a disconnect as well in terms of my in terms of Legacy Division, and in terms of the lobby, what we have got complete and utter desync. But in the end, Fezzel completely slotting his way, coming out of turn number 10. really applying the pressure now to Kai. Onto the final half a lap we go. Sam Game is still dropping down the field. He end up in 10th position, even though we should be, I think, 3rd or 4th by the end of this race. Kai, though, into the final couple of corners, and a drama-filled race here in Qatar comes through the final couple of corners. What we can say, I think, with confidence is Kai is probably going to get this race win, regardless of how you look at it. As Kai now comes through the final couple of corners, through the final corner now at turn 16, on the run to the line, he knows he's going to win, but Fezzel's trying to catch him all the way to the line. Kai, though, to the line, wins in Qatar. Sam Gamer now all of a sudden is now 2nd, Sav now in 3rd, Fezzel there in 4th, might just be correcting itself in terms of what we saw there. Completely desynced, I think, on the spectator end then, and Sam Gamer, if that is correct, it's fixed itself and is now in 2nd position. Absolutely, I can't describe what I saw on my screen. M-Racer gets Driver of the Day awarded by the in-game fans, but whether or not the final 2 laps get taken is a different thing. But we completely got desynced on our end as a result of Joseph disconnecting. I apologise for anything that might have concerned, but we were seeing one thing, the drivers were seeing another thing. There've probably been all sorts of battles going on their end. And in the end, Kai takes the win from Sam Gamer in 2nd, but it seemed to me Sam Gamer was only a 2nd behind.
I'll tell you what, it was completely fine for me on that final lap, and I saw a photo finish. That's what I saw there.
No.
With Kai making sure he got the win on the line as well. PSR Kai, the absolutely set in stone confirmed race winner. We'll just have that out there. Sam Gamer, gut-wrenchingly, penalty or not, comes across the line in 2nd on the racetrack. M-Racer takes his first podium of the season ahead of Placky, who finished 5th last week. So again, another brilliant points finish for the Dutchman. Ahead of Sav, then Fezzo, Axe, Baron, Martin, Jack and Rusty is the 11 finishers that I can see. I'm not sure about you, but yep. I'm glad we got that race result.
And actually, I've just spied something. Fastest lap is tied. Kai and Sam Gamer on my end, 122.402. Yeah. Who gets the point? Is it half a point each?
Split the point down the middle. I don't. Is it who did it first? I'm not sure that's a rule in the WOR rulebook. It might be in the official FIA stuff, but that will be worth having a look at.
Oh, my word. Unbelievable, I've got to say, in terms of that. Yeah, it was completely desynced on mine. I can only apologise for what you guys saw on the stream as well. 83 of you are now going to be absolutely frustrated at me for showing you the wrong action, even though Joseph saw a photo finish, which I think we would have all preferred to see, and certainly I would have, from the commentary as well. Adam Kearney there saying in the chat, no worries, Nick, it's the least I can do after all your support. Cavendish saying, commentators are top tier, great job, guys. Too bad for the desync. I know, we couldn't help it, unfortunately. And Adam also saying, whoever the main commentator is, I love you. You sound like Murray Walker. I will take that until my grave, my friend. Thank you so much for saying that. Filling in for Gareth Davies here tonight. Mr. Warder, of course, he'll be back, I think, next week. But what we can do is have a look, of course, at what is to come for the remainder of the season. And there is still a lot to come, Mr. Joseph, because next week it's Saudi Arabia. I'm probably not going to be there. If I am, I'm looking forward to it. But Saudi Arabia, completely different to Qatar in terms of the...
Go to Las Vegas in round 7 as well. Dare I mention the Las Vegas Strip. But Saudi Arabia next week, another visit to the Persian Gulf. And yeah, again, high speed, going to be full of chaos. Potentially a late race safety car like we had today. But once again, thank you to everybody who tuned in to that one. Stuck with us despite the minor inconvenience towards the end of the race. But like I said, we have a result. That's the main thing.
Yeah, we do have a result. And in the end, it all fixed itself, which I think is the absolute main thing that we can take out of it and actually come to show the game actually works. The game actually works in terms of a desync lobby, which I think is very good to take forward. Looking through the rest of the calendar as well, Spain and Netherlands in the first half of the season, with the only sprint race coming, of course, in Italy, in Monza, I believe that is, on the 8th of September. Then it's Las Vegas. Then Japan, however, round 7 to 9 are subject to change. Japan, I know I'm doing tomorrow night in League of Europe, which I'm looking forward to because it is a hellish track to try and drive. Japan there in round 8, though. Abu Dhabi for round 9. Then it's Silverstone for round 10 and Brazil. Round 11, I've got to say, very good to end off the season in Silverstone and Brazil. And hopefully I might be back for one or two of those as we move forward for the rest of the season as well. And if you want to see more of me and more of Joseph, of course, you can catch me certainly in Legacy Division starting on the 22nd of August. Of course, PSR going to be claiming potentially P1, I think, in that championship before it even begins. They're going to have a plus 50-point advantage on the rest of the opposition as it stands. But we cannot wait to bring you Legacy Division. Myself and Jota are going to be taking through that one. 22nd of August, Monaco is the place to be. And more action to come, of course, Joseph, because PCF1 is back on Sunday. And God forbid what is going to happen in terms of the driving standards. The track I am going to get up very much so in terms of the calendar. And I will tell everyone, you will probably know before me in terms of the calendar what this is. And I believe it is Saudi Arabia this weekend, so it is Jeddah. How do you think the PC F1 drivers are going to cope, especially knowing that Otis Lawrence has got a 2-race ban and a qualifying ban?
They just need to grow up a bit, some of them. I know that sounds harsh, but honestly, the way it is trickling through into some of the minor leagues on the game as well, it's not a good look at all. So hopefully they can resolve that, themselves. I know some of them are mature enough and some of them are still putting on a show despite all of the conversation around PC at the moment. But yeah, once again, thank you very much for having me, James. You're absolutely top tier as always, and you'll be back for the Legacy Division as you mentioned as well.
Yeah, definitely. So it is going to be very interesting for Legacy Division. Of course, PSR is probably going to win, but who's going to come second in Legacy Division? That is the main question going into Monaco on the 22nd of August. And we apologise again for that inconvenience. You saw what I saw, and that was complete desync on my end with Sam Gamer and complete desync in terms of lobby. The result probably will get taken from lap 29. Joseph, I'm sure, will confirm the results on his end as well. But we can end off the stream there. A big thank you to everyone that tuned in. If you did like the stream, like, comment, subscribe, take that notification bell, of course, if you're brand new to the channel. Check out, of course, in the description about our sponsors, Gridfinder and Next Level Racing, both of whom you're going to see their adverts for once again at the end of this live stream. And indeed, what we've got to look forward to for PCF1 on Sunday as well. But it's been a pleasure being joined by Joseph once again. A pleasure filling in for Mr. Gareth Davies as well, Mr. WOR. Hopefully everything is going to go according to plan next week. Hopefully Saudi Arabia is a good race, and hopefully the drivers can behave themselves as well. We will end it off here, though. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.